Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Thursday, January 21st, 2021, Ross Board of Education regular meeting. Mr. Kinsel, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes?
Mrs. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Here.
And Mr. Chanel?
Here.
Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Dr. Kunkel, can we review the agenda?
Yes.
Are there any changes?
Yes, Mr. President, there are two changes tonight under the Treasurer's Report. Letter D, which will be a resolution from Vista Consulting. The second change is a legislative report, which is at the end of the agenda, right before Butler Tech, I believe. So those are the two changes to the agenda.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 4, the review, approval, and correction of minutes. Can we have a motion to approve A, B, and C, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes. Could we have a second? Mr. Bossy, go ahead and call the roll. Cancel.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
And Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Castaner, we have no public comments tonight?
We do not.
Public. We'll move on to Superintendent reports and recommendations. We got some awesome guests tonight. Dr. Kunkel?
We do,
floor is
Mr.
yours.
President. Before we get to that point, I want to take a minute. January is a school board appreciation in Ohio. So I just want to say thank you to the 4 or 5 board members for your efforts in leading this district. We have some gifts for you. The first gift in front of you are some cookies. There's a company in Ross here, Cakes by Sarah, and she's a local company here, and they made cookies for your appreciation. Second of all, there is a certificate in front of you from the Ohio School Board Association. And the last thing that we have are thank you notes. So our both elementaries, Morgan and Elda, the little kids, kindergarten, first graders, there are some thank you notes. And if you look at that box right there, we have fortune cookies. So Morgan Elementary created fortune cookies, and inside those cookies are thank you notes. So before you leave, make sure you take a fortune cookie, very creative, by Morgan staff. So thank you to Mr. Perry and Mr. Hall. I'm sure you'll like some of those thank you notes. But again, just want to say thank you for all that you guys do. Before we leave at the end, I'd like to get a picture of the 5 of you to get out on social media. So I just want to say thank you again, and hopefully you enjoy the cookies and the thank you cards.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So tonight we have 2 presentations. The first presentation is from the high school, and we'll let the high school go first.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Kunkel. Dr. Kunkel, Mr. Kinsel, esteemed members of the Board of Education, thank you for having us this evening. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Ross High School. And we are going to give an update, a brief update. Health President, they said that I was short on time, so we'll try to be
Jake
mindful of
Richards,
that.
second flowers.
Yeah, so give a brief update on remote learning. But before we launch into that, I just want to say this is my 17th year as a school administrator, and obviously due to the circumstances that we're all facing right now, this has been by far the most challenging. And what I want to follow that up with is to assure you as a Board of Education that you should be very proud of the staff and what they're accomplishing during this pandemic. There's been a lot of instances during my career as a school administrator that have prompted me to be proud of my staff. But to see what our teachers are doing on a daily basis is nothing short of remarkable. And I just want to assure you as a Board of Education that there are some incredible things going on at the building level. Our teachers are killing it. And It's probably tough to envision that if you're not there on a day-to-day basis, if you're not familiar with what things look like in a classroom. But I've spent more time in classrooms this first semester than probably any semester, quite frankly, during my career, just trying to be supportive of our staff and students. And what our people are doing is incredible. So you should be very proud as a board of the product that is being put forth by our staff. And I know I'm very proud of them, and you guys should be too. So thank you for your support of the staff and of our students as we go through this trying time. Just to kind of follow up on that a little bit as it relates to remote learning, that's been an incredible challenge, not only for those of you who have children, you understand the challenges from one perspective, for our students and once again for our staff as well. But that's an area where our staff has really stepped up and delivered the kind of product that we've come to be used to at Ross. Just as a short example, our teachers at the high school logged over 960 hours of additional time. So that's time above and beyond their normal class time in supporting our remote learners. So that's a tremendous effort. You think about what our teachers are going through, because they're dealing with the pandemic at home too. They've got kids to worry about. They're worrying about staying healthy. So to go to those great lengths to provide those additional hours in support of our remote learners has been fantastic. The thing that probably escapes most people about setting up a remote learning institution is that you're essentially creating a second school. And when we think of schools, we think of buildings, we think of brick and mortar, we think of all the things that go along with it. But a remote school is a school with many of the same challenges and problems as a traditional school. So when you think about the fact that we've had to set up basically a second campus and support the students who are learning in that environment, it's quite remarkable. And fortunately, we have someone who is pretty remarkable in and of themselves who is basically taken on that challenge. Our assistant principal, Emily Doblinger, has essentially been the principal of remote learning at Ross High School. And as she does with just about every task she takes on, she's been outstanding. So I'm going to turn it over to Emily and let her delve into some of the specifics regarding remote learning.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, very much. I just want to give you a brief snapshot of what we have done this semester for our remote learners. One of the things as a parent going through the pandemic in the spring, you become the teacher for your own children. So when we offered a remote learning option for our kids, I wanted to make sure that they still felt the love and the connection to Ross High School that they were used to. So one of the things that I have done this entire semester is been in constant contact with families, with the kids, making sure that they know that I'm there for them. We have teachers volunteering their time to grade. However, they're not teaching the kids. So I really had to be a support system for them in terms of getting through the content, the knowledge, and being a tech support as well. I have a great team of people that I can rely on to help with that. But in the moment minutes where a freshman is having a panic attack because they can't submit an assignment, I'm the one that they get to call. So I'm just passing out a few things for you. The first thing that I passed out was just a snapshot of how many kids we had in remote learning, the credits that they were able to earn this semester. I will tell you that the credits are half credits in this Accelerate program. So they're doing great. It's completely self-paced, independent work. So for some kids, that works really well, and for other kids, it doesn't work well. And I will say that our group of remote learners is very diverse. We have gifted to So IEP students to students who have struggling home lives, who struggle to come to school when the building was open. So it is hard for them to get online every day and be disciplined. So I will say that I try to take pride in talking to as many kids as I can and making those connections with them. The one thing I do want to recognize is that even though we're remote, we're still offering AP courses, and our kids are still taking AP tests, so that rigor is still there. And that was something that Mrs. Tompkins and myself really wanted to make sure whatever program we went with still offered that vast opportunity for our students. We have 2 intervention specialists on the remote team. They are not only managing their caseloads within the building, but they are managing a caseload of remote students. Just first semester, they logged 150 Zoom hours with kids supporting them. And so that's incredible. And they're doing that during their plan bells. And so they're not getting a plan like all of our teachers, and they're doing it to support our kids and get those credits so that they don't fall behind. I did provide you with a learning guide that I send out to all of the families and students. It just outlines the program, kind of gives you a snapshot of what they experience. And then the color-coded Excel sheet that I provided for you, this is a report I create every Friday. And what I do is I actually, obviously the student names are blank, but I individually create an email to the student and the parents outlining their current progress in the class, whether that falls in the range that is acceptable, worrisome, or very concerning, which are the different color codes, and then their current grade in that class as well. So that parents and kids, even though they have that observer account, they know that I'm tracking it, I'm looking at it, and I'm sending it out every Friday, so they get that. I just thank you for your support in this program. We have a wide variety of needs as to why students have chosen this option this year. It has helped our students who were credit deficient. Actually, this was a great option because we no longer offered our Butler Tech course. This allowed us to help our students who were not on track to graduate to actually become on track to graduate. So they're able to take those courses, exempt themselves out of assignments as they progress through the program and earn those credits just as they would have if they were in our building in previous years. And I will tell you that it is a personal success to watch them achieve because I've worked so hard the last 3 years to get them to this point, and now to see them almost there, grabbing graduation by the hands, it's really moving. So I just want to thank you so much for your time, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at any point in time. So thank you all so much.
If you could just stay there. Mr. Martin, if you don't mind coming up here with Mrs. Butler, we'll kind of go around the table. A lot of the rationale behind having the schools come in is student success, right? I mean, you can bring students in. This is different, so you can't really do that now. Like, you've brought G Foods in before. You've brought what are some of the other groups?
Tom O'Neill's kids.
Tom O'Neill, yeah. So,
yeah.
but this is probably as impressive. So we'll go around the table, and I'll start if you guys don't mind. But being on another board at Butler Tech, and then probably talking to a lot of other board members in Butler County and principals and so on and so forth, you hear about remote being a complete nightmare, to be honest. And being in our community and knowing the high school teachers and a lot of the parents, I just wanted to publicly say this is, I know you're giving them a lot of credit, the teachers, and they deserve it, but it starts at the top. And the communication to the parents has been unbelievably good. Everything's been laid out. I mean, we got a copy of it tonight, and they appreciate that. The staff that I talk to, I'm not going to give any names, so I'm going to give them trouble or but it's the support that you two have given them. So it starts at the top. The teachers are incredible, but what you guys are doing is just as big, if not bigger. I don't want to say that to the teachers, but if not bigger. And the one thing that a lot of people in the community probably don't know is our high school has had to adjust probably more than any other building, right? Going in hybrid, going in full remote. It's just a lot of adjustments. I know it's a flagship, but you're earning it. You're earning it this year because you guys have adjusted more than any other building in our district. And as, again, friends with parents and so on and so forth, the rationale behind doing it, it's greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. It's been a tough year, but there hasn't been boo. I mean, nothing is coming out of that building but positive stuff. So, and that's not happening throughout the county. I'm not going to give any names because I don't want anybody to yell at me or anything. But we'll start with Mrs. Webb. Mr. Boston wants to take a couple of minutes.
I do have a question though before I get thanks. So, and I know we don't have a crystal ball, we can't predict the future, but do you foresee this continuing in the next school year? Like you'll be in this role and working with some online kids? Or...
Yeah, I mean, I think that we see it continuing as an avenue for credit recovery. So I see it moving on in that regard. As far as it being an option for everyone, obviously I think it depends on how the pandemic progresses and where we are a few months from now or going into the next school year. I don't, as if you're asking me right now to give an answer, I don't see it being an option for all students moving into next year, but I think definitely as an avenue for credit recovery, I think we'll continue with that. So I don't know, I don't want to speak for Becky or Emily, but.
Mrs. Goblinger's thinking about the next job.
I'm being premature, but I'm a planner. Once you get ahead, I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, just looking at this sheet, I mean, you can see there's just a wide array of courses. I mean, from AP to any level. And I mean, like you said, just the support that you're giving the students and the communication. Communication is key. I don't think you can communicate enough, and especially the outreach for parents. And I think that's why it is so successful. So, thank you to both of you. Thank you to the teachers. This year has just, it's been crazy. At the high school, you guys have seen it the worst. I know it's been a lot of work. I know it, and I know that a lot of people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes and all the extra hours that are put in. So thank you both for everything.
You guys understand all, so we're, as a parent of two high schoolers, we do not do the remote, but how things have been handled and kids are going to keep up to date work, and the teachers, I get it, that you guys have to set the tone and how to help. So, very much appreciated.
Mr. Chanel?
Yeah, thank you both. The credit recovery thing is not something I knew about, so that's pretty awesome. So I'm very impressed with that. I know it's been all 4 days into the new semester, but have you seen the kid? Has there been many kids that have gone from remote full time, and is that transition? Like I said, 4 days, but how's that going?
Yeah, so we did see our numbers drop from first semester to second semester. I think a lot of the things that we did that DeWine's speech about it doesn't spread as fast or as what we thought it would in schools. I think that gave some parents ease. I think just the safety measures that we're putting in place, the fact that we're responsive, so as our numbers went up, we were responsive in that. So our numbers did go down this semester, and the families that really needed to stay in, I think, stayed in. And so we started to see, I think parents started to value the work that we do within the building and how we help support kids, and we saw that for some of their students that it's just a struggle to do it remote. But I still have 77 students, so while it dropped a little bit, I still have 77 on my caseload that I'm managing. So.
Great job.
Thank you. Mr. Boston?
No news is good news. I've yet to hear a person who hasn't want to talk to you about this. Not one last year. So.
Well, now you've jinxed it, Mr.
We won't go down the Wyoming path. But anyway, It's mission impossible to try to navigate that, but somehow we navigated through it, and this is working out very good. It's working out very good. Two things, if I may, just serious but light. Maybe at the end of the year, last year you gave the board a little synopsis of what the seniors are doing analytically. I still have that. And it isn't obviously booming positive because of what happened last year, and I'm sure this year is going to have a little cloud over it also. And I'd like to just be able to see what a partial year and a full year of complexity adds to the decision making as a students graduate. So as what they do next, it would be an interesting number to me. And I like to work with numbers and try to make some kind of decision making from that, but you got to have the numbers first. And that was a new set of numbers last year, and this year hopefully it's a set of five. And the other thing is that I'm keeping my June schedule open for graduation, whatever form it may be.
May, it's May.
May, excuse me. May, I keep it open. I'm hoping we can. Miracles happen, but don't get them.
Just to piggyback off on that before we take off, that's the other thing that a lot of parents talk about with you two guys is you're still trying to do everything you can for that student experience. You went to the 9th inning with the dance, I think, and all these different things. I mean, that's awesome. So I know you don't have anything, you're going to do everything you can if you can. To do that. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, guys. And I just want to say, and I don't, this isn't, it's perfect. Like, I mean, like, when it comes to remote learning, like, I mean, it really has been, Emily came at the beginning of over the summer and said, I want this. I want to take this on, and I'm like, what I said.
She can't say it. We're on the
But I mean, really, I mean, the credit goes to Emily. She's been remarkable. I mean, she's great. So
thank you so much.
Guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on now to superintendent reports and recommendations to B, which is going to be about the Ross Intermediate School presentation, and it's going to be Dr. Kunkel, who's our superintendent, and then Becky Tompkins, who is the curriculum director for the district.
Mr. Superintendent, thank you for allowing me to present tonight. This is an exciting time for our district. This is the kickoff to the Ross Intermediate building. There is a PowerPoint presentation that will kind of guide this conversation. But this is an exciting time for our district. There's many questions that our community has, our parents, our students. Those questions will be answered. And after you hear the presentation tonight, we do have some different forums set up that parents can ask questions. We can explain that here at the end. But we're excited to introduce in this building. Next year will be the 4th and 5th grade intermediate building. So our current 3rd and 4th grade students will then, next year in August, next school year, will become 4th and 5th graders here at the admin building. And this does go into effect in August. So August of 21, you'll see 4th and 5th graders here at the admin building. So there are approximately 422 students that will be coming into this school building. This will be a functional school. It's going to look totally different than what it does now, and I'll get to that in a moment. But it's going to be a self-contained school. Students will come here, they'll have specials, they'll eat lunch. It's going to be a very inviting school. Again, I'll talk about that in a minute. The district office will move to one wing, and then the school will be in the other wing. So it's going to be a shared building between the 4th and 5th grade building, along with our current district administration. Let me talk about the last bullet point, and I'm going to spend some time on this. Right now, we have a massive project to convert this building into a nice, inviting, engaging, warm school for our students. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what that looks like. When you enter our building in August, you come up to the steps. You will see landscaping around the building. You'll see our steps refurbished. You'll walk into the main door. There'll be 2 sets of doors that parents go through. There'll be a vestibule area where we want to make sure that our students are safe. As you make it through the vestibule and you go down to the hallway, I want you to imagine new paint, new ceiling tile. You'll have, you walk into classrooms, there's going to be new windows. Again, ceiling tile, paint, technology. This is going to be a very, very inviting school building. So we are excited to announce this. Again, I'll talk here in a minute about kind of some next steps, but we believe that this school building is exciting for our children. Let me kind of talk about why we're doing this. And there's really 3 compelling reasons. The first reason is I want to talk about our current middle school. So the 5th through 8th grade current model. There's a lot of students in the middle school. So we are overcrowded in our middle school, grades 5 through 8. We believe combining 4th grade and 5th grade, that is a better developmental appropriate age groups for students to learn. So moving 4th grade from the 2 elementaries to this building, along with the 5th grade, that age group, 4th and 5th grade, it's an intermediate building. It's not middle school. It's not elementary. It's a middle school building. We believe that our students, the sky's the ceiling in terms of what we can do academically. So we believe that model, a 4th and 5th grade model, is best for kids. The second part of that is we surveyed our community in the fall time with the idea of having an all-day tuition-based kindergarten, and 70% of our parents are in favor of some type of all-day kindergarten. So with that being said, I'm going to let Ms. Tompkins talk here in a minute about what that kindergarten commitment looks like. But the second phase of this, so the second aspect, is it allows all-day kindergarten to be at Elda and all-day kindergarten to be at Morgan. So those are the 2 compelling reasons. The third reason, if there's future development in our community, for example, there's a residential commercial project that could happen. We want to plan for that. So we believe that having an intermediate building allows us to prepare for future growth in our community. So those are the 3 reasons why we are creating a 4th and 5th grade building. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Tompkins, and she's going to talk about the kindergarten commitment process.
Thank you so much, Dr. Conville. Good evening, and good evening to Ross community members who are viewing our Board of Education meeting this evening. So I am going to spend a little bit of time talking about our all-day tuition-based kindergarten commitment process. For the next school year, so the upcoming 21-22 school year, we will still have half-day kindergarten that will be available for our students, and that half-day kindergarten will be tuition-free. In addition to the half-day tuition-free all-day kindergarten that we have always offered and will continue to offer moving forward, I'm happy to share that we will also be offering an all-day tuition-based kindergarten option for our students who qualify for kindergarten for the upcoming school year. This evening I'd like to talk to you about the process that will begin on February 1st, which families can use to secure a spot in the all-day tuition-based full-day kindergarten program. The one thing I want to say moving forward is we have a limited number of spots available within this all-day tuition-based program. So this process will be important if families would like to secure a spot. All right. So the one piece of background is if the community remembers, in the fall we shared a survey asking our community if they would be interested in an all-day kindergarten option, and if so, if it was tuition-based, what would be the tuition that the community would be willing to pay. So we thank all of our community members for responding to that survey. And looking at the survey and the responses, we took that into account and made some adjustments. So on that survey that was sent in the fall, the lowest tuition amount that was asked for the community, would you be willing to pay, was $2,750. In looking at the responses and thinking about the tuition, we decided to lower that floor of $2,750 to $2,500. So it's less than what was shared on that survey. So tuition for all-day kindergarten will be $2,500 plus $95 of in kindergarten fees. So totaling a total of $2,595 to participate in a full-day kindergarten program for next year. So this process is a two-step process and will be available on February 1st. Now I'm going to give lots of information this evening. I will say that this process will be available on our website next week, so look for it there. And we'll also be posting it on our social media outlets. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to share the particulars of this process with our community as we move forward. All right? So here's the process. It's a two-step process. Beginning February 1st, families who are interested in an all-day kindergarten program, tuition-based for their children, will begin by filling out a Google form. So the Google form will give us information, the general information about the child, the parents, the address, the school in which they would like to attend. The second piece is a non-refundable $255 deposit. So that will secure a spot within that all-day kindergarten program. That amount will be subtracted from the total amount of that all-day kindergarten program, which will mean that the period between September of 2021 and May of 2022, the monthly tuition amount will be $260 a month. I think I'm seeing that correctly from across the way. So $260 a month for the 9 months of school for the tuition-based, all-day tuition-based kindergarten program after that $255 deposit is paid. So the slots are going to be filled on a first-come, first-served basis. So the families who fill out the Google form and pay that deposit will start when we can timestamp those. And those slots will be filled as families move through that two-step process. Okay? It is a two-step process, and in order to secure that spot, those two pieces need to be complete. Again, that process opens on February 1st, and then it's going to close on March 15th. So there's a total of about 6 weeks for families to have conversations about, make the decision of moving to this tuition-based program, and then complete those two steps process. So let me go over here. If a waiting list is needed, so if we get to a point where there's more people who are interested than we have slots available, then again, we are going to begin we'll fill those slots based on when the Google form and the tuition were paid. So those will also be filled on the first come, first served basis. And then finally, we will have opportunities for scholarships for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. Those scholarships will be either full tuition scholarships or on a sliding scale. That will be an additional piece where families will fill out some forms and make an application for that process. We're very excited about this opportunity to provide this for our community. We feel that we've really taken into account the community's feelings about all-day kindergarten, of having a desire to have that opportunity, as well as the amount of tuition, trying to make the process as streamlined as possible, and are very much looking forward to this opportunity. So I will now turn it back over to Dr. Copeland.
Thank you, Ms. Tompkins. That was very informative. Let me talk about next steps. Tonight, I want to recommend to the school board that we approve Mr. Jason Redinger as the principal for the intermediate building. That is on the agenda for tonight. It's kind of some next steps. Mr. Redinger and myself will attend the Morgan PTO meeting on February 4th to answer any questions parents have. And then again, Elda Elementary on February 9th. Then we're very successful with our YouTube sessions back in the fall time. We'll continue those as the springtime develops. We will have open houses that students can come in and visit the school when it's ready. We're excited about this opportunity. I think it's great for our community, great for our students and staff. A lot of questions, we understand that. I want to thank our team, Mr. Castader, Mrs. Tompkins, Mr. Kinsel, our internal team. Put a lot of hours into this building. Many more conversations are needed, and we will have with our community. But again, very excited for this, and I will keep the school board updated as it's developed. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Kunkel, we're going to move to item C on superintendent reports and recommendations. I believe you're going to block C and D?
Yes, Mr. President, we're on block C and D together. C is our personnel items. Those are in front of you. Items D, there are 8 policies for your approval. So I need your approval for 6, C and D together as a block.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve items C and D under superintendent's reports and recommendation? Do we have a first, please? Mrs. Webb, can we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Chanel, could you call the roll, Mr. Kinson?
Yes. Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
And Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
And Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move to treasurer's reports and recommendations. Mr. Kinsel, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I've got 3 items that are just for review, and then item D is for vote, resolution for the school energy performance contracting project, and I'd like to take that up for vote.
So Mr. Kinsel has A, B, and C just for review, and his recommendation is to approve item D under the treasurer's report. Could I have a motion, the first please, to approve item D under the treasurer's report?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel is the first. Can I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hayes is the second. Mr. Kinsel, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm on.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
And yes for me.
And Mrs. Webb, I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll move on next to, what was it, asterisk as well that was added, but I think it's on the board docs online for, on our website. We'll move to the legislative report, and our legislative rep is board member Amy Webb.
Sure. Okay, so there's not a whole lot to report as it is the start of the year. From the state level, we have Laura Kohler and Charlotte McGuire, who are reelected again as Ohio State's Board of Education President and Vice President. And I think much like districts across the state, our State Board of Education is hearing, from parents about remote learning. So they took time to listen to testimony concerning the impact that remote learning is having on students' learning and social emotional well-being. Recently, I guess it was in the last month or so, a study came out, actually from some local schools around here. Princeton was one, Lakota was one, about contact tracing, and schools are really a safe place, safer than most because of the sanitary measures that are put in place. So that is good. I think it's kind of relieving some anxiety about going back in person a little bit. There's also a push from Butler Tech Superintendent John Graft. He has been working with SWOCA, with Spectrum, other IT personnel, and they're doing a study to increase equity for all students to receive broadband internet service on school devices so that they are able, if they are doing remote learning, to have access to that. I know there's parts of Ross, rural areas of Ross that are in this study, and that is one of his pushes, and I hope, we start making traction on that and can, progress further, but I'm going to not steal Mr. Van Winkle's thunder and let him talk about that during his Butler Tech report. Nationally, President Biden's pick for the Secretary of Education is the Education Commissioner for the state of Connecticut, Miguel Cardona. A tweet from Joe Biden a few weeks ago, one of his plans is in the 21st century, 12 years of school isn't enough. That's why under the Biden-Harris plan, community colleges will be free. And public colleges and universities will be tuition-free for families earning less than $125,000 a year. So that might be applicable to some of our students in Ross. How these changes impact Ross? Possibly there might be less emphasis on school choice in the voucher program moving forward and more attention to public education. That's yet to come. And equity for all students to access internet for educational purposes if the study is successful. So that is all I have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Webb? Okay, we'll move on to the Butler Tech report. We had a meeting for Butler Tech January 12th. The Butler Tech board reorganized. We elected board president Michael Birding from Fairfield. He was the president last year. He does an excellent job. And vice president elect was Brett Guido from Monroe. Both those guys served in those positions last year. We welcome new board members. Pastor Shaquila Matthews from Hamilton. She'll represent Hamilton. Michelle Novak will represent Middletown. And Roy Chapman will represent New Miami. All the committee groups were formed. Myself, as the Ross representative, will serve on the Board Development and Effectiveness Committee. Legislative information that was given out of note is Dr. Sage gave everyone on the board the 2021-2022 Ohio Senate and House Directory. And I shared that, I believe, with Dr. Kunkel and Mrs. Webb. It's just the updated directory of the new people that'll be around. Superintendent John Graft went into the broadband conversation that Mrs. Webb talked about. And on board docs, if you go to rossrames.com and you go to board docs, you'll see a PowerPoint presentation that he used that night. And that way I don't butcher it up. But in a nutshell, SWOCA provides internet to most districts in Southwest Ohio through Spectrum. With their study, they're seeing that we're only using 29% of that broadband usage. And Mr. Graff is really pushing hard to figure out how we can use the rest of that 71% broadband for our students, so that all students are getting the access to internet. It's really interesting how they're doing it. So we're a K through 12 one-to-one school district, so we'll get computers for each kid, right? So that computer will have the access, if it's near a tower, to pull that internet. So the internet won't be for just the average citizen, it will be for students only on student devices. So they're doing a pilot on Route 4 by Butler Tech near the main campus. There's 2 trailer parks, and they put a tower on top of one of the buildings at Butler Tech, and they're giving out computers in those 2 trailer parks and trying to pilot it. And this is for underprivileged areas and rural areas. So the rural pilot is in Ross, Ohio. Mr. Tom O'Neill is taking that on. He's a Ross teacher, but Butler Tech employee. He's still working through it. Me and Dr. Kunkel talked to him. So as that comes forward, it'll be neat to get that update from Mr. Graff, and I'll update you guys, especially on the Ross thing, because that's going to be interesting. Yeah. So, but I don't want to butcher it, so the PowerPoint is on there. The other thing in Butler Tech is just forward thinking as any organization I've ever been around. And one of the things they're doing is doing a 3D experience for every 8th grader, okay? And I'm going to turn that over to Mrs. Webb, again, because she knows a lot more about it than me. That's the information I have, but she can dive into it and talk a little bit about the details about the 3D experience for every 8th grader in Butler County that's with Butler Tech.
Sure. So at the D. Russell Lee campus at Butler Tech, they have a career lab, which mainly services 8th grade students throughout our county, which is the 10 school districts, and then Northwest Coleraine and Hamilton County. And also some other career tech centers, and other people have gone to visit. And it has 20 different lab stations representing 26 different programs. But it's closed this year due to COVID. So in years past, actually the last couple of years, there have been 65 to 70 separate days set up by, I don't know how many middle schools or throughout the county, but where homeschools would be bringing kids out to experience the lab. So because we can't do that this year, what Butler Tech is doing is every 8th grader is getting mailed home one of these next week. And it's like, they're like virtual reality goggles. So they open up, you fold them up, you scan the QR code, you put your phone, you take your phone out of the case, and you put it in here, and then you close it up, and then it's almost like a video game, like you're walking through the different programs, you can move around, so they can actually see the spaces, but not actually be there. So, super cool. These are going home to 5,000 8th graders in the county. So what that means for next year, when these 8th graders are freshmen, they didn't get that opportunity to go through the lab. They're going to, unfortunately, have to skip that year. But in the future, we're going to start using these for the freshmen. So freshmen will be getting these mailed home. 8th graders will go through the lab, and freshmen will get these in 2 years from now. So super cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So those were the two things. The other kind of thing that's Ross related with Butler Tech is the Natural Science Center. They're rehabbing that. It's going to be a huge project. That's about as far as they want to go with the information because they're still going out for bids and all that. So publicly, the only thing that Mr. Graff said is they're rehabbing the Natural Science Center. So other than that, that's all I have for Butler Tech report. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So what we'll do now is 3 to 5 minutes for board comments. We'll go around the table and we'll start with Mr. Boston.
I'll start. I'm still catching up here.
Okay.
But let me go second.
Go second. Mr. Chanel, you're first.
First, I'd just like to thank Mr. Martin and Ms. Stolkner for their presentation. Very good. I'd like to thank Cakes by Sarah and both the elementary schools for the thank you notes, and I'm really anxious to get home and check out the fortune cookies. I think my son's actually got a fortune in there, so he used to tell me about it, but he wouldn't tell me what it was. So we'll see if I draw the lucky cookie. And I'd also like to thank Ms. Tompkins and Mr. Conkle for their presentation. I know the community is going to have a lot of questions about that. I've been on the board for a year now, and it's been a crazy year. But the one thing I've learned in that year is that half of the room, these guys are doing everything they can in the best interest of the students, which is very important to me with students in the district, of course. The details will come out, as Dr. Conkle said. The communication will be there. We don't have all those answers today, but by the time that school opens, I've got all the faith in the world that it's going to be the best learning environment possible for our 4th and 5th graders. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Hayes.
Okay. You literally stole my notes.
Usually we start over here, we don't have, you guys say echo.
No, I just thank you for everyone for their presentations. They were wonderful. I can't wait to see your treats. I love little kids. I just wanted to show, I love little kid drawings. I find them fascinating. They're full of treasures, so I just love it. It's really heartwarming, and I appreciate it. Thanks to everyone, and like Amy said, this is our first full year. We survived, I think. I am excited for looking forward to the school year and the new changes and being a part of something that's new and here to support our school district and offer help in any way. So again, thank you. It's great. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mrs. Hayes. Mr. Bossy?
Yes. Again, the year is a different year. I was sitting reflecting about, and I appreciate all the little comments and drawings. But last year, if you remember, we had kids swarming the room here at the high school. And it was a Broadway production. And this is the difference in years. So I'll be happy to privately take my cookies at home and put them under my pillow in my bed. I don't want to share them with anybody. So those are very nice. Good thought. Good thought. Good thought. And I just hope that health for everyone continues this in the second half of this second semester, and that we continue our open door environment. And I'm very proud of what I read about our community around us, more so the city of Cincinnati. Oh, thank God I don't live in the city of Cincinnati. It's a mess between what they're trying to do for kids, and I feel bad for the kids not getting what they need to be successful in life. So from an outsider, I'm really excited about what's going on at Butler Tech. We're doing some very creative things. There's no doubt about it that they're trying to be on the cutting edge, and I'm just hoping that we all can get through this year and have a graduation.
No doubt. Mrs. Webb?
So I'm just going to reiterate what a lot of people said, but I do want to thank Brian and Emily for coming in today and giving us part of their evening to share the great things that they're doing over at the high school with remote learning students. I want to just thank, I think, everybody in here, from this room to families, community, the teachers, the staff. I mean, we've had to adapt this year, 2020. I mean, and you all have been just so adapting to everything, so flexible. Kind of goes in with what Emily and Brian were talking about. And I know that it's just been very challenging, and I just want to thank everybody for that. We always put students first, and I think that's what just makes us a fantastic district. We always have, the kids' best interest at heart. In addition, I'm going to go back to September, and I remember having a conversation with Dr. Conkle, and we were talking about renovating this building. And I'm like, Dr. Conkle, you've only been on the job for 4 weeks, and you're talking about opening a school in less than a year. Like, I was floored. I just, I didn't expect it, but I am just, in a positive way, just amazed. I'm just amazed of what we're able to achieve and the goals and the timelines that we have set to do, I think, what is best for the community and the kids again. So kudos to you. I know that is a huge undertaking for everybody. So, it's I'll be as supportive as I can. I know, you have the support of the board, and it's going to be great. And I can't wait for the ribbon cutting ceremony and to walk in those doors. So super excited about that. And I also hope for health and wellness in 2021. I hope that we, as we move into the spring, we start to see a downward trend of virus numbers with the vaccine rolling out, and that families, students, community, everybody stays safe and healthy in the new year. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going to repeat everything everybody said. The one thing I do want to bring up and specifically about Dr. Kunkel is there's not a week that goes by if I don't talk to him that he talks about the staff at Ross and the upper administration and the teachers, and he's made it a point to have over 100 meetings already, individual meetings, over 122 or 20-ish to be exact, with staff members in our district. And that is amazing. but it goes back to what he says. It's all about the people, the relationships, and the students. And going into our second semester, I'm just really proud of what happened in the first semester because it was a very tough one, no doubt about it. So with that being said, we are going to go into executive session per board policy 102.03, and we're doing it for two reasons. The mid-year evaluations of the superintendent and treasurer, and also about district personnel. So can I have a motion to go in executive session, please? First,
Motion.
Mrs. Webb. A second, please.
Okay.
Mrs. Hayes. Mr. Kitzel, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle,
Yes.
Mr. Bossy,
Yes.
and Mr. Chanel.
Yes.